Do you go by Andrew and Brandy or Brandy and Andrew? Does it matter to you guys? Brandrew? Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, Internet. How are you? Today on the podcast, we have two returning guests together for the first time ever to be our first coupling on Outrage Factory. I mean, there were a couple before Outrage Factory was ever a thing. We didn't like, I don't know, because when I said coupling, it made it sound like they were coupled by it. Anyways, it's Brandy and Andrew. So you've seen Brandy 4 times before and you've seen Andrew once. And yeah, you could tell by the robes that they're on a romantic vacation, but I just fucking killed the mood by inserting myself. How you guys doing?
We're good. To be fair, we had already committed to the podcast before we booked the Airbnb, so
Yeah.
we knew that was coming.
Thanks for still coming on, even though you're on vacation. I'm
He didn't
actually
know
really
until I
happy.
was like, by the way, we're podcasting, so he is less excited than I am.
I'm always excited, Dale.
Yeah,
Always excited to talk to Dale.
that's okay. I'm glad he's here because he can help back me up for the technical description of a non-fungible token.
Yes, we have two people to mansplain Brandy. So
I already don't give a shit, but please try to explain this dumbass thing.
Okay, so I'm at that age of my life where I saw NFT, like people are like blah 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 NFT. I'm like, this is going to annoy me. I don't even know what it is yet, but I know that I'm gonna and I was putting it off to talk about it, and then Brandy brought up the Beeple selling his 5,000th everyday JPEG at Christie's auction, and I'm like, oh, I like Beeple. I'll talk about that guy because I don't know if everybody who watches this podcast remembers, but I used to do this thing called Dale a Day, where I do like a little picture or a piece of artwork every day, and I did it.
I remember that
for over 2 years, but actually I gave up so I could spend more time with this podcast because we got into video and it actually takes a little bit of time. So anyways, he was like, I started Dale a Day because I read an article about this Beeple guy like 3 or 4 years ago where he had done like a design every day. Like he started doing it, I think, to practice his 3D imaging skills, and then he did it every day and he called it just every day. And he calls it every days with an S. And you can actually go find that on Instagram. His username is Beeple Crap. And for a while they were pretty like weird, like naked Donald Trump with robot arms and stuff, but they're pretty good. So the thing he sold at Christie's was, I guess he's done 5,000 of these every days. That's like what, 2 years? No, 10 years would be 3,000. I don't know. It's like 13, 14 years. Somebody could do math on that. I don't want to. And he sold it as a non-fungible token. And I saw this and I was like, well, I heard about Lindsay Lohan had a non-fungible token and hers only sold for 17 grand, whereas Beeple's sold for fucking 69 million. So I guess she's going to be pretty upset that hers was worthless compared to his. So I guess I'll just explain it. Brandy, do you know what the blockchain is?
I mean, I don't not know what the blockchain is.
Okay.
It's not. Okay.
Andrew, do you know what the blockchain is?
Somewhat. I mean, as far as I know, there's a whole bunch of the whole like mining for and shit.
Yeah.
I understand, but essentially, you're getting a unique identifier, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if it's a digital asset, it's got this unique identifier held on some kind of server somewhere securely that no one else can ever have the rights to. So it's basically a one of a kind thing that can be applied to something like a JPEG or a whatever, and then that becomes your.
Yeah. So my understanding of a blockchain is it's basically just a bunch of computers chained together to make blocks of code, which I could be wrong, but so like Andrew was saying, they make like unique I guess, digital imprints. So it's basically like a non-fungible token is if you were to take one single Bitcoin and not make the whole Bitcoin currency, but just have one coin that you can't break up into smaller pieces. So I think a lot of them are made with, this is where it's going to get annoying, the Ethereum blockchain process. So there's also a cryptocurrency named Ethereum. So the same blockchain process they use to like identify Ethereum, the currency, they use to make these non-fungible tokens. So what they did was with Beeple's picture, like basically it's just a JPEG and you can download the JPEG or whatever, but the one specific one they sold has this computer generated like digital, I guess lack of a better way to say it, fingerprint on it. So it can, like if he sells it, like he sold it for 69 million. So if whoever bought it sells it, the like the big long string of numbers will tell all the computers that are attached together where it is and it's still the original one. So like to me this is just like fucking scary Skynet shit. Like it's funny cuz people want to use like Bitcoin to get rid of their, I don't know, to get somehow get off of like regular money, but they're just have this digital money that all these computers know where it is and what it's doing at all times.
Yeah, like I was gonna shit the bed. It just seems like you're paying for nothing. Like you own a $63 million nothing. Because that thing I sent you on Facebook after that about the wine guy.
Yeah.
That guy, I can't. That's even a next step. So at least a digital picture I can understand because it's a photo and you can look at it and it has like a value there. But this guy was like, I don't drink anymore and I have a wine collection. So I'm taking all of these and turning all my wines into these NFTs and then breaking the bottles. So whoever owns them at their like prime. But you're not fucking drinking it because you broke the bottle.
Yeah.
Paying like all this money for like a
What is it? A picture of the bottle?
picture of the
Right.
it's a picture of the bottle.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's just as good as any other thing.
But you're not
Yeah.
drinking the wine.
Well, so here's what I think is funny. I love it in a way because it's just like money is fake, just like everything else. Like we only decide together that it's worth something, and that makes it worth something. And I mean, it's obviously super complicated, and there's like things are driven by markets and blah blah blah. But we have a number that sits in a bank account, and that's worth whatever it's worth in Canada versus what it's worth in a different country because we all decide, yeah, this is what this is worth. And so they're doing the same thing with these other digital assets. Just people are getting together, deciding this is worth this much, and it is. Hence, it is, and it's so someone has made something valuable just by declaring it valuable, and it's kind of cool.
I don't want digital wine. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Fucking now.
Well, this isn't for us, Brandy. This is for like rich. This is for rich dumb people who I guess don't know what to spend their money on. Like this is like I heard, I didn't hear this explained, but I heard like really expensive art is not as valuable as it is. It's just the art piece itself is worth whatever everybody says it is. So it's like an easier way for rich people to trade assets without involving the bank. So that even makes more sense than this, even though like if you sell a super rich picture, it can get fucked up and broken. So this makes more sense in that way. But with a non-fungible token, it's the most traceable thing ever. So like if I was a rich billionaire doing shady shit and I wanted to pay another rich billionaire to do like get shady supplies to do my shady shit, I would just give him like a Rembrandt painting,
Right.
and then it would be like nothing changed hands. So it'd be harder to track because I could just be like, well, I gifted him this picture instead of like being like, people would be like, why did you pay this guy $36 million? Like if Epstein would have dealt with all these classic pictures, then we wouldn't know that all these different people gave him all these millions of dollars and you don't know why. It'd be like that guy who gave Epstein that mansion. It'd be like, yeah, I just gave him this mansion that's worth like $100 million. Sorry?
Just a lot of that gifting. If you're rich enough, you can just keep gifting stuff. I
Hmm.
still think it's dumb. Like, I get it, I guess, what you're saying, but like, the first time I ever heard of a non-fungible token, I just saw someone's tweet that said, "Non-fungible tokens are the Beanie Babies of the 2020s," and I was like,
Yeah.
but then, so I really expected them to, like, I was looking for something in a box, like there was going to be an unbox.
Yeah.
I expect there to be an actual token. I guess I didn't know what non-fungible meant, and so I was very confused. And then when I looked at it, I'm like, no, that doesn't clear it up. It's still nothing.
Yeah, some of them do have a physical counterpart to the non-fungible token, but I think most people want to keep them digital so they could trade them without having to send a physical package somewhere.
You didn't dream of the crypto sausage?
What's that?
Like sausage.
There's
is that?
If you go to OpenSea.io, there's like a whole bunch of NFT stuff for sale. You can scroll through, and there's a bazillion different little whatever.
Right, because it was a cat thing that was the first NFT, right?
Crypto.
No, there was a popularized like cat thing where you could buy cats and then trade the different cats. Neon Cat, which was that GIF like 10 years ago of the like floating Pop Tart.
Right.
The guy who started that, like made the original GIF, he made Neon Cat into a NFT. Which is kind of like, all right, the more annoying ones, there's been like so many NFTs we just never heard about them because they've never sold for as much. Like Mark Cuban made a GIF of himself dancing. There's one that's a picture of I just blanked on that, like the most famous basketball player right now, by LeBron James.
I don't know anything about sports. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, and then like I think I was totally gonna look at this before the podcast, but I forgot. But Kings of Leon made their album an NFT.
Oh boy.
And
I like the Wu-Tang album that fucking what's his name?
Scarelli.
Pharma Bro owns.
Yeah. I don't know his first name, but his last name's Skrelly. Yeah, right. He bought that was for $2 million. I don't actually, was that an NFT, do you think?
No, that was NFTs on like one-off album that was like pressed and given to him.
Yeah, and like apparently he could do whatever he wants with that. So I don't know why he hasn't released it for distribution. I guess because he was just trying to be the bad guy and hold it back from the masses. I wonder whatever happened to that. Things that you should wonder about for the podcast.
What
the Wu-Tang album, because when he went to jail, when Skrelly went to jail, I thought that they were going to sell the Wu-Tang album because they were seizing all of his assets because he was so in debt or something. So I don't know if someone else got it or if it's just fucking in limbo somewhere.
It would be something we could ask the Google bot.
The Google.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a good idea on Wu-Tang to just be like, we made this album. We don't want to fucking deal with the background bullshit. Give us $2 million or you could do whatever you want.
Like, because
sorry?
Has nobody heard it? Like,
no one's heard it. Like, it was a big deal for like 6 months, like, because Wu-Tang hadn't had an album in a long time, and everybody's like, there's a new fucking Wu-Tang album and I can't hear it. And then like you figure whoever owned it would have like used all that to like try to sell it and make a whole bunch of money off it. But I guess they kind of
in his basement, just vibing, like totally into it. Doesn't
by himself.
Yeah, we're having parties.
The latest news is that RZA wants the album back.
Cool.
April 2019. So yeah.
Yeah, I know they're trying to get it back, but like they can't just get it back. They'll probably have to buy it, and I imagine Skrelly, since he's trying to be like the world's supervillain, would have like an exorbitant price on it. Yeah, so this, I don't know. What does the word fungible even mean? That's like,
well, I don't know. I thought you were gonna explain it.
I looked this part up. Oh. I was pooping earlier. And fungible is like money or even a Bitcoin, because what I can do is I can lend you 10 Bitcoins.
Yeah.
And you give me back $5 worth of Bitcoins, and it'll mean the same thing. But a non-fungible there's only, like you're saying, there's only ever one of it. Like
Okay.
it's a unique thing, and it's only worth what it's worth.
Yeah.
And that's it. And there's you can't exchange it. You buy it.
Yeah.
But you could sell it and buy it, but it's worth what it's worth, and that's all there is to it. It's the one.
Well,
you
there
cannot
you go.
trade it for equal value of some other currency or anything. It's just what it's worth.
Nice.
I believe. I'm the guy.
Well, I still think they're fucking dumb. So
They are pretty dumb.
For 18 minutes, you two have explained to me what they're for. Mostly Dale, but also I think they're still dumb.
Ate up a lot of good time with that.
Yeah. I bet everybody was like super stoked that we started the podcast being like, hey, there's this dumb thing that annoys us. And here it is. And we just explain it. But I feel like I saved a lot of people from having to care about non-fungible tokens.
I know, because I mean, they're not even fungible. Why are we going to care about them?
Yeah, exactly. Like now you don't have to look them up or care about them.
No, that's as much as I ever need to know. Like, unless I can get $63 million by like making a pixel or something, then I don't.
I guess we need to start making them, right? That's the only.
Yeah, I mean, we could make them, but we won't be able to get them to sell at Christie's.
Like Outragefactorypod logo non-fungible.
I could. There's that website Andrew had up with the sausage, where it's like a website where you go and you make them, and then you sell them. Right. But I don't want to fucking add to this nonsense. This is just like, at this point, it's just like panic buying toilet paper, where it's like, you don't need toilet paper. Don't fucking buy it all. Like, don't buy an NFT for 69 million bucks.
By the time any of this shit like gets to my dumb brain, you can't make any money off it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Friends, like, the whole GameStop thing and everything. For 1 minute, I was like, oh shit, here we go, fucking buy some GameStop stuff. And no, because I know about it. And if I know about it, there's no fucking way.
I made $90 off of GameStop because I heard about GameStop like you.
I know.
And I was dabbling, like I signed up to Wealthsimple. I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. And it was basically, it's like me doing fantasy hockey, but it's stocks. And I'm the worst person to buy stocks. Like I found this one called Kraken, and I'm like, oh, that sounds fucking dope. And I'm like, what is it? And it's like this company out of Nova Scotia that builds underwater like metering devices for the sea. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm buying that. It's only 60 cents. So I like bought some and hasn't done anything. And then I was like, I'm going to be smart about this. So I went and bought a whole bunch of stocks that had dropped a whole bunch, thinking they go back up and feeling like I figured it out in 5 minutes. They didn't. I lost a bunch of money. So basically, I bought one GameStop stock at $50, and then it went up to 140, and I freaked out, and it was like too much. I was like, should I sell or should I buy? So I just sold it. And then now it's at like 250, but I still made $90, and I made back all the money I lost on the dumb shit that I gambled on. But now my latest thing with stocks is I found out about dividends. So it's like there's this company in Texas called Algonquin Energy or Power or something, and they're the ones who run all those fucking windmills that broke, like when Texas hit that deep freeze. So all their stock went down, but they own a whole bunch of other fucking windmills and shit too around the country. So I was like, oh, so like they're not like done. They're just, their stock went down. So I bought them because they have like, I think it's like every share you have of theirs, you get like 20 cents a month, but you still have all the stock price. So I was like, sweet, I'll get 20 cents a month. And then I'll use that 20 cents to buy this other stock. And then that stock will be like the baby of the first stock, and they'll have like a stock family. So that's my approach to the stock market.
So much paying attention. I was buying a giant pack of weed from a old hippie guy yesterday. That's my dad's old friend. And he's like, yeah, I've been doing the stock stuff. And he's like, I subscribe to 3 newsletters and they tell me exactly what to do. And I was like,
It's worked out really great for him. He's selling his house now because
no, but he just started. He said he made quite a bit of money anyways. But I'm like, you have to be reading them and on it and paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's too risky.
You know what's the only thing more boring than listening to me and Andrew explain what a non-fungible token is? Reading about stocks.
I bet. We could talk about literally anything
Talking
else.
about reading about stocks.
Talking about reading.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we could talk
What's
about
next on the list.
Jason Kenny and the Bigfoot thing.
Oh yeah. So Jason Kenny, I don't know how he heard about this movie, but there's this movie called The Bigfoot Family on Netflix.
Because some fucking chud in Alberta complained he was watching it, his kid wanted to watch it, and he complained to whatever the people, like he complained to Netflix and whatever the board is that regulates television in Alberta, and said it was like anti-oil messaging.
Well, it is.
He was like, whoa.
But did you guys, I like me being a guy who likes to do a lot of homework for the podcast, except for all the other stuff when I said I didn't, I was like, I could watch a movie. That's like the perfect amount of homework for me.
Yeah, I definitely did not watch the movie.
No.
So I started this movie and it sucks.
You go to the Rotten Tomatoes, first of all, and it's 31%. You don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Below like a 70 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. So it's like a kid's like computer animated cartoon, and it doesn't even make sense from the get-go. So it starts with this kid who's like, I'm the son of Bigfoot. And then he's like, this is my mom. And she's like a regular person.
He's a human kid or he's a Bigfoot?
He's like a Bigfoot kid. But I'm going to explain why it doesn't make sense. Because he's like talking about how he's Bigfoot's kid.
If there's multiple Bigfoots, how can you be the kid of Bigfoot?
What'd you say? Sorry?
He said he was the kid of Bigfoot.
Yeah, he's the son of Bigfoot.
But if they're all Bigfoots, is the one just a Bigfoot? Like, does he not have a name of his own?
Yeah, it's like Alex or something.
Okay.
There you go.
But
okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it starts with him being like, I'm the son of Bigfoot and I have superpowers. So he can like heal stuff and he can run super fast. So you're like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, and this is my mom. She's a human. And you're like, oh shit, that chick gets plugged by Bigfoot. And it's just like this nerdy girl with glasses. And then it's like, he's talking about his dad, and he's explaining that his dad turned into Bigfoot in like a lab accident. And then you're like, well, then he's not fucking Bigfoot. You don't turn into Bigfoot. You are Bigfoot. And he's like, wait, if his dad turned into Bigfoot through an accident, like he got chemicals dumped on him, and he's like, then how does his son have the powers? So that's the first thing that doesn't make sense.
Lots of just erroneous sort of connections there.
Yeah. And then, so the plot of the movie is that's like the introduction. And then the dad who calls himself Bigfoot, when he's just a guy with hair, he gets a letter.
Like a living in a hut guy in the forest. He just
they have like a regular house. Oh, and then in the house they have like a bear and a raccoon, because another one of Bigfoot's superpowers is he could talk to animals. So what's that?
I'm trying to picture. I don't understand why it lives in the house. But anyway, go on. Continue.
Well, because apparently, it doesn't make sense. It's a dumb car. It's like it's supposed to be like cartoon logic, but it's like beyond dumb. Where you make a cartoon so you don't have to quite explain everything because kids don't catch as much stuff. So, but I think we're actually just spoiled by Pixar and whatever company makes Despicable Me. Because those movies are all so good without plot holes that you're like, oh, that's good. But then you watch something like this and you're like, what? This sucks.
That like suspending your like belief system is tough.
Yeah. So Bigfoot gets a letter from this couple of like a couple like you guys who are also protesters, and they're up in Alaska at some like super nice sweet valley, and they want Bigfoot to come protest some logging company who's like doing something in the valley. So Bigfoot goes up there, and then there's like, it's weird because it's like there's armed guards and a giant electric fence blocking access to this oil companies who like is like they have these advertisements where they're like clean oil, and then they're like, well, they're not clean if they have all this like secrecy and stuff. And then Bigfoot jumps the fence and goes in and then figures out that they're like just exploding the ground and then oil comes out of it. It's like the dumbest way to get oil possible. And then
Well,
these these guys are like super bad. So what they want to do is just blow up the whole valley to get the oil out. So it's like on one hand, it is like demonizing oil companies, but on the other hand, if you believe that this is actually true, it's like Kenny getting mad at this would be like um a company get who makes anvils getting mad at the Roadrunner before the way like anvils are portrayed.
and like there just feels like there's something else to get mad at. I guess it's a good distraction. Does Bigfoot that lives in the house that then goes and hunts, like, does he get mail to his house as Bigfoot? I'm really stuck on him.
Yeah. He gets mail to his house. Well, he has like a human name. It's I can't remember what it is.
Oh, okay.
But it's like blah blah blah. He's his it's like let's just say his name's Jason Schmiger. Jason Schmiger, comment or bracket Bigfoot. Like I guess Bigfoot's like his like nickname or something. I don't know.
And so does Jason Kinney think that the children are gonna want to say Bigfoot? I mean, it seems like there's a lot of that is wrong and a lot of problematic. So like,
well, he's just like since he's Jason Kenny, and he's basically put all his money. He like basically went to a roulette table and put all his money on zero, which was oil. And then the roulette table went around 3 times and it missed oil. So he keeps doubling down
right.
on oil. So anytime anybody says anything bad about oil, he's like, fuck, that's where all my ducks are in that basket. So I have to defend it tooth and nail. Like right before the pandemic, he made his 4-year budget plan dependent like solely on oil somehow being selling way more than it did in the past. And then the pandemic came and basically fucked up his whole budget. And now
gas is so expensive again.
Yeah, that's just fucking gas being. I think gas is expensive right now because Biden said no to the Keystone pipeline. So oil just went back up because they figured that they wouldn't, even though it's not really running yet, somehow the thought of not having that pipeline.
Yeah, like we don't use it yet, but the thought of not using it.
Yeah. Or I think it might just be that like oil went down during the pandemic, like the price of oil dropped because nobody was using it, that people stopped producing it. So there was a lag in production and then it all got used up again. So maybe production hasn't caught up to that lag kind of thing.
Way. I don't drive anywhere, so it's fine, but it's still dumb.
Listen to us just talk about economics.
I know. I don't know anything about it, so I seriously hope no one's listening to anything we're saying with like
Economy Factory. That's what this podcast is now.
That's the spin-off.
Yeah, I don't know who you put. Do not invite me to that one.
Yeah, I think that would last maybe one episode, and I'd be like, I actually don't like talking about this or researching this, so I don't want to talk about it.
I don't know anything about it. No, it's not my space.
Yeah, like if I had like a stocks thing, that story about the mama stock, that was the most exciting I could make stocks for myself personally, and I've already done that, so I don't think I would get into it at all.
The most exciting stocks could be is if they're paying you just massive amounts of money, but all the shit that you have to do to make that happen, I don't care about. So
yeah, exactly.
I can't benefit from it because it's just too much thinking.
Yeah. Also, to get like a bunch of money, you have to put in so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
that's the thing.
Like you have to put in like a good return on a stock, like a really good one is 10%. So it's like unless you put in like $10 million and make $1 million, but then you're like, could lose $10 million. Like, it's just like, who has 10 extra $1 million?
I guess you get to a point where $10 million is like $100 for us.
Yeah. But at that point, you would just want to fuck around instead of paying attention to the stock market.
There's a friend who keeps talking to me about, like, come on, man, you gotta check out this latest crypto I got. Like, I bought in at 20 cents a couple weeks ago. Now it's worth 40 cents, which is like, oh, it's fucking pretty sweet. But then it's like, for me, I would have put in like $100. And I was thinking, like, holy shit, imagine if I put 100, oh, it'd be $200.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, you're like, oh, I could buy a pair of pants, and it's just like, it's like Brandy's right. The amount of mental energy it takes to care about it to get just $100, like, just go to your job and make $100.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be cool if I somehow made a whole bunch of money off the stock market and then I didn't have to work anymore.
That's true, but that's very unlikely. Very unlikely.
Oh, it's very unlikely. That would be like if there was 6 GameStops going on at the same time and I caught it before it happened.
Them at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not likely.
Give me a call. Ask me if I've heard of the thing that you're
and
trying
then
to invest in.
If
I have heard of it, then don't fucking do it. If I've never heard, I have no idea what you're talking about, then there's a chance it might be.
Yeah, that's a good measure.
Okay.
But only with stocks.
I will continue to buy stocks based on the name of the company and if it's cool or not. Like,
okay, so if I was gonna buy stocks, it would 100% be that way.
Yeah.
I'd be like, this is my stock money, and I'm gonna buy the one that sounds cool or looks cool or whatever. But that would be my strategy. I wouldn't look at anything else about it, just the name of it.
Yeah, like remember before when I was talking about how I'm going to use the dividends to buy like a baby stock?
Yeah.
I found a stock that's named Stinger, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to buy some Stinger. It's only only 30 cents a share.
If later in your life you get to be like, yeah, I got rich off a Stinger, like that's a cool fucking story. Like that's a cool fucking story. You get to tell forever. You'd be like, yeah, grandchild, you're going to school because of Stinger. Like,
yeah. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should look up what this company is. And it's like some holding company out of Alberta that has silver and gold. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And this is as much research as I want to do, because it's like,
yeah, I mean, what are they stinging? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know how you get from having gold and silver to Stinger. So
definitely need the economic podcast.
Yeah, that's still the deal right there. We got it.
Yeah. You know? Hey, you know what's better than economics? Geopolitics. Do you guys want to talk about some world politics?
I didn't see that on there.
Oh, what
the Quad. The Quad. Also, fucking such a badass name. Okay. The best part about this is Biden did it instead of Trump. So even though it's kind of a dumb, like,
I did read about this on you.
Yeah.
And then I got very freaked out, so I stopped reading because that's how I handled geopolitical issues.
Yeah. So
it's scary.
Yeah, like I was saying, if Trump would have done this, everybody would have flipped out and called him racist against the Chinese and shit, because it's basically Biden got together with India, Japan, and Australia, and they want to hold China more
accountable.
Yes, thank you. They want to hold China accountable for this pandemic, because basically, as it stands, we still don't know where the pandemic came from. And every time Trump brought it up, people just said he was a racist and they moved on. And like, like China's saying that it came from the wet market, but there's still no proof of this. China like shushed all their journalists. They like all the whistleblower doctors are on vacation. And then, so we don't know. So, but what they, yeah. So it's funny because it's like it's almost not even new, because the USA, India, and Japan have all had these like annual military exercises for the last 4 or 5 years, where they get all their militaries together and they like do military games and shit.
Stuff. They have a little like square dancing competition.
Yeah, and they like take that. They do rat tails to each other and snap each other's butts. That's what military stuff is, I guess. But now I guess they felt bad for Australia because Australia at one point was like, hey, maybe we should find out what happened with this pandemic. And China was like, shut up or we'll kill you. And then the States were like, oh, come here, little Australia. It's okay. You could be part of our group.
But they're really not anyway. Okay, so now what do they want China to do?
Oh, they don't know yet. The news announcement is
they just did a full on straight like, I don't know. We think something.
Get this. The news announcement was because this group is going to have their first Zoom meeting with the leaders of the countries. Like, it's been like whatever, like peons have been like talking back and forth, being like, hey, blah, blah, blah. We're people in the military and the government. This is what we talk about. But now, like, Joe Biden's going to talk to Morrison, who's the leader of Australia, and I don't know who's the leader of India or Japan.
Zoom is gonna be the president soon.
Of what?
Everything. Zoom knows everything. Everyone's gonna Zoom everything. So like the guy that runs Zoom's gonna be like, I know every secret.
Dude, I love Zoom. I can do this podcast without leaving my house.
Or if they'll make the first quad meeting into an NFT.
Well, snap.
That would be dope. Yeah. So, are you guys? How do you guys feel about this new the quad?
I mean, there's probably other reasons to. China's fucking terrifying. For a lot of reasons. But if they figured out how this virus came about, I don't know that
it changes anything.
It's changing much. I mean, it's pretty. We need to just get better because it's gonna fucking happen again, 100%. Like I think I heard you keep hearing about like, oh fuck, here comes the next one before we're even out of this one, and the next one is potentially, it's for sure can be like way worse than this one, and that was just like a little practice round, I think, COVID. So we just need to get better at dealing with it.
Yeah.
You can pay that, and the all the antibiotic resistant shit is terrifying too. Like we need to just. There was like just before the pandemic hit, there was that Netflix show. It was called like Pandemic or something, and it was like they showed all these people, different research teams and stuff working on these like universal vaccines, and they just were not getting funding, and they look so promising. They had it
so close. They had a universal like coronavirus vaccine, so not specific to COVID, but like just coronaviruses in general. And they had it right up to the end, and then everybody was like, "We don't want to fund it."
Yeah, that's actually where
fucking shelved it.
The Pfizer and Moderna, the mRNA. That's why that vaccine came out the first, because it was started under the first SARS. They started developing it back then, so it wasn't a total loss. Like they got some of, I guess, the research and information from them.
Stopped working on it. Like we wouldn't even have had a problem. Like if they had funding and people gave a shit, then they would have kept working on it. And then when this stuff happened, it would have been like, oh, here's the fix. Like it wouldn't have got, but because we just can't get together globally, I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna go back. Like the States is like, we're gonna vaccinate everybody tomorrow, and we're gonna go back to normal, and then it's just gonna happen again.
And then fucking 6 months from now, we're all gonna have Ebola, and we won't be able to get toilet paper, and
well, you know, we have a lot of toilet paper.
We need a lot of toilet paper when you have Ebola.
We have a lot at home. We kept buying it. We were worried that you couldn't buy it, so we kept buying it.
Yeah.
Buy it. But I mean, Ebola seems worse because like liquefying organs just seems like a bit more likely that you'll die.
But there's no evidence that you get a 3-hour-long erection with Ebola. Where
you have there's two guys that have had that with Corona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to expand on your 3-hour erection, or do you just want to bring it up?
Yeah, the newest
Oh my God.
worst side effect of COVID apparently is this a couple people, this latest person, an unidentified 69-year-old man.
I love that he was 69, by the way.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's my favorite part for sure.
Yeah, so what happened? Do you want me to just
Go
jump
for it.
in here?
Article, yeah.
Like I don't want to push around the fact that this is my podcast, but so what happened was this super obese man, he got coronavirus and then they like hooked all the fucking breathy shit up to him. But so what they do with these people is they roll them on their stomachs because apparently it helps disperse the oxygen throughout the body. Because I guess if you're obese, sometimes when you're like,
My
because
chest
like,
is heavy.
yeah, so all the blood, all the air. So here's a quick biology on more scientific facts. So the way your body works is blood goes into your heart and then you breathe in air and the air goes into the blood and then the blood goes through your body and that's how your muscles and all your shit works. But if you're super fat, then it's harder for the blood to get to the extremities and like because the blood has to go through all the fat so it gets slowed down.
And then it sucks in the oxygen.
Yeah. And then if you're on your back, it doesn't like, but if you're on your stomach, I guess it just squishes the blood down easier. So
your lungs,
yeah,
like gives you more space.
yeah. So I first heard about this. I was like, hey, you could get a 3-hour erection, but it's kind of misnomer because he didn't have like just a normal erection. It wasn't like a fun erection. It was like, I think they called it a preapism, where it's like his dick was just full of blood clots. So it like,
You
cause
have to drain it with a needle.
yeah, that's no bueno. You know what I heard about this on like on a podcast, but if you have an erection that lasts longer than 4 hours, you know how they're like, call the ambulance if you last longer than 4 hours. So what can happen is the blood vessels and shit in your body can die and then they just go into your circulation and fuck up all your other shit, which is the super scientific term. So what they have to do is they don't even use a needle. They have to like slice up the sides of your penis and scrape all those like rotting bloated like blood clots out and then your penis never works again. You can still pee out of it, but
and
you
have
can't.
1 3-hour erection and then never again.
Yeah, but that's only if like they only do like the scraping shit if you've had an erection for like 12 hours and it's like gonna go gangrenous type of deal. So what happened was they fucking roll this fat guy over on his back and then he's just like boing. He has this like huge boner and they're like, shit. Like they say he had a 3-hour erection because they turned him over, but they don't know how long he had it. Because it could have been like poking into the bed the whole time he was laying on his stomach. So yeah, like Brandy said, they had to drain it with the needle and shit.
Which is
so
super not cool.
Yeah, right? Like if I could go the rest of my life without having a needle in my penis, I'll be happy. That sounds like like a boner killer, pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could probably like cumulatively bleed for the rest of your life. 3 hours is probably the most erection you'll ever have.
Yeah.
Like cumulatively. So that does seem like an obnoxious thing to have happening.
And then he died. That was probably.
He died?
Well, wouldn't you if your dick didn't work?
I don't have a dick. It never works. I mean, that's not a thing that I have to worry about.
Yeah, well, he was on an what the fuck? What's that called? A ventilator for 10 days, and then they sedated him to be unconscious. Then they put him upside down for 12 hours or whatever. So this was kind of like a last ditch effort.
He
and
had
so
a ventilator for 10 days and flipped over, and then he got an erection.
Yeah. So what happens is
he did not know that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the weird thing about coronavirus. Besides me not knowing regular science, I don't know a lot of coronavirus science. But what it sounds like to me is when blood pools in your body, like you get blood clots way easier. So like since he was on his stomach and went in so he probably had blood clots throughout his whole body. So this guy was probably would have been on his way out even if he didn't get a 3-hour erection.
Right. I mean, I didn't think that the erection killed him, but like, what a way to go. I mean, if you're gonna go, right, go with your dick at full mat. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
want it out and sticking around all the time. So,
I mean, if the doctor's like, Dale, you have 4 hours to live, I'm like, can I just get a 3-hour erection right at the end?
right
Just
now,
to like close it out?
Fucking time.
I mean,
Read it with a needle.
yeah. What's the other option? You just die without an erection?
I mean,
What's that?
That seemed like the lowbrow way to die. Just go in.
Yeah. That is the not badass way to die for sure.
Oh, we're very sorry about Peter. We know he was,
This is your most early moment.
Right, sorry.
Uh-huh.
But he did have a 3-hour erection before he died.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
it's not all bad.
Videoing you for that?
Sorry?
Would a nurse be like, well, I should do something for this? Like, when you try to relieve it like a more natural way before you shove the needles in?
The problem is it doesn't work. I mean, in my head, I hope numerous nurses tried to help this guy out and like there was throwing handies at him left and right. Like that's my fantasy into this.
Hippocratic oath, like you should just try it out. It might not work, but like you should at least fucking try. Like level 1. There's usually one way to get rid of it. Right? Uh-oh.
Is the Hippocratic oath give fat guys hand jobs? Because if it is, I'm going to the hospital.
I mean, like, I don't know, but why not though? Like, really?
Brandy, I like where you're going with this. Like, we should start an Outrage Factory Foundation called Hand Jobs for the Obese. Even if it's not going to solve anything, at least we should try.
I mean, it'll solve something for those guys. I mean, it will. Something.
Yeah.
For what it will solve, but it will solve.
And even if it doesn't get rid of his 3-hour erection, at least it made him feel better while he had it. Yeah.
You need to try.
Exactly. So do you guys want to jump from the 3-hour erection talk into Women's Day talk?
Well, of course. Yeah.
International Women's Day. So International Women's Day was this week. Was that Monday? Monday. Yeah. And Burger King, so what's been happening a lot lately on Twitter is fast food companies like Wendy's are just fucking getting a lot of hits by being like cheeky, I guess you would say. Yeah. So Burger King tweets on International Women's Day, they tweet, "Women belong in the kitchen." That's the tweet. And then the follow-up tweet,
like a half-page ad and a bunch of publications with just that. But
yeah. So, and then the follow-up tweet was,
something about women being only 30%.
It says women belong in the kitchen. Stop the tweet, and then the ad on the tweet was, "If they want to, of course," and then yet only 20% of chefs are women. We're on a mission to change the gender ratio in the restaurant industry by empowering female employees. Do you like how much I can read?
Yeah, I'm very happy what you're reading.
Yeah, by empowering female employees with the opportunity to pursue a culinary career, which is offensive because Burger King should not be called a culinary career.
I mean, that was the most offensive part of that whole string of words that you said. Was the Burger King culinary career.
It should be your parents keep nagging you to get a job and you want money for alcohol on the weekends, so come work at Burger King.
Someone that works with you can buy it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, like they put the first part to be like, ha, people will be so upset by just this, and then they'll read the next part and then they'll be like, oh, Burger King's actually a good company. They want to
don't know as if they expected the backlash to be enough that they had to quit or like delete it, but
yeah,
They were
like
probably
the tweet's
prepared
no
for it.
longer
I
there.
think they were prepared for it.
Yeah. So what they didn't realize is that when people on the internet get incensed by something, they're
I
like,
was so mad.
they're not like, oh, I'm angry, I'm going to look into this further.
Like,
They're
I'm
just
gonna
like,
burn all your establishments to the ground.
yeah, they're gonna go, I'm angry, I'm just gonna flip out. And I'm gonna reply to that, even though my reply is gonna be under the reply that anyways.
They really did flip out.
Yeah. And a lot of people got very upset because they're dumb enough to believe that Burger King would just say women belong in the kitchen on
Well,
International Women's Day.
the women got upset because they were like, you can't think of anything better than this like fucking age-old trope of bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
at the same time, they're like, your fucking head of marketing's a female, and I'm like, yeah, but she's not wrong because look, now we're talking about your fucking podcast. It never ends. Like, they're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
and they weren't, and their whole message was not wrong. The whole thing that they were trying to put out there was a good message, and so they could stand behind that. They could be like, you guys can interpret it however you want. Like, fucking everyone calm the fuck down. Don't like just let them speak. But that's what they banked on, and they kind of won it. I don't know.
Yeah. Like they also didn't say that most of the people in fast food kitchens are dudes because the women are working the register because that's the better job, and only the dudes will put up with doing the bullshit in the back.
I mean, if I was a woman, I wouldn't want to work back there. Or I mean, I am a woman, but I wouldn't want to work back there. Like, if I was a chef, like working with a bunch of dudes in the back of a kitchen seems awful.
Yeah, I've been a fast food cook and a line cook, and it is awful and it sucks. And it's like super fast paced, it's super stressful, it's hot, and you go home smelling like a deep fryer. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody.
I mean, I worked at a coffee shop and I didn't like it, so I can't imagine thinking that like Burger King is going to be an improvement from that.
Yeah, like to get me back into like a kitchen, they would have to pay me like $50 an hour, and nobody pays that.
They would not do that.
Yeah.
No.
Like the only good thing about being a line cook is it pays slightly better than like a retail job.
But you have to smell like deep fry all the time.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's the worst. And then it's like you have to go home and scrub it off you, and it's like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody, and like I don't know, but I guess it's a good start for your culinary career.
Someone has to do it because I want onion rings and fries. So,
yeah, true.
Like, I don't want to down talk it too much because someone needs to.
Oh yeah. So what we should be doing is being like, everybody who's not me should want to work in the Burger King kitchen so that I can have good food.
Yeah, they should deliver it to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Just need to get robots to do it.
Yeah. Those chicken fries aren't going to deep fry themselves.
They're not.
I think what they should have done for International Women's Day instead was just rename their company Burger Queen.
Nice. That sounds
Would that have been a
offensive,
or would they have sunk into
Forever.
it and actually like elevated the women in their company to be something better?
Let's say they named themselves Burger Queen. How many people do you think would get upset about that as being like a sexual shaming nickname?
Yeah, I mean, people will get mad about literally whatever. So
yeah,
podcast about it.
Yeah, this one right here. So.
Exactly. I love when people get mad because it gives me something to talk about. Like if everybody was like well behaved and super okay and dealt with their baggage normally and didn't freak out on the internet, I wouldn't really have anything to talk about. It would be like, so the weather's weather today. And
can you imagine a world where people were just okay?
Oh my God. Or people admitted that their problems aren't actually problems. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, no, that would be that's not going
to happen. I mean, if you need to have problems in your life to keep you going, it's probably better if they're not actual real problems and you're just being dramatic.
But you don't have the perspective to know that, I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe you do.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess the problems I have in my life aren't super dramatic or life ending, but Like they're just like typical problems. Like I got to pay my bills and I
And
want enough money to have fun. Other than
I mean, but
that,
it isn't any fun to have. So right now it's kind of just like
oh, I'm having plenty fun. I still got my Xbox. I can still go for walks by the ocean. That's really all I need.
I know. Well, we were talking about that too. I was like, well, it doesn't really. The restriction changes don't change that much.
Oh yeah, like those restriction changes are so dumb because
I
it's
mean,
like
the only thing is like my mom will feel less guilty, but like
yeah. So I guess I'll just explain. So Bonnie Henry, the health officer for BC, like right now we're under these restrictions where you have to wear a mask in public. You can't gather. You weren't supposed to gather outside,
first
but
5
it's
months
like
we're not supposed to be anywhere near anyone who wasn't in your household.
yeah, but you're allowed to go into a public space. Like I could go to the mall across the parking lot. Like I live right beside a mall and I go there all the time and I'm allowed to because the fucking spice must flow and people need money, but I just have to wear a mask. So if say someone I know was also shopping at the mall, that's not gathering, that's just me and them being at the mall at the same time. But you don't have to wear a mask outside and everybody's allowed to go outside. So people could just go outside together. Like,
Good, yeah.
as long as you're not within 6 feet of each other, that's not gathering, that you're still socially distanced. So this is just
now
like,
they let us go out because we weren't supposed to go outside or inside with people. So now we can go outside with some.
yeah, but my whole thing is like, what do you mean you're not supposed to go outside? Like, you're
Well,
allowed to
even why
be.
you inviting people to your house to like have a bonfire.
Yeah, like you're not supposed to be within 6 feet of people. But the weird thing too is this like this thing about being able to go inside. It's like you got to stay 6 feet away from everybody so you don't spread it. But if you have to be within 6 feet of someone, wear masks. So everybody just took that as well. If I wear a mask, I could go by people.
I
So
know,
it's like,
it's not necessarily true. That's what I think
yeah,
she just had to do something before spring break because people were going nuts.
yeah. So I don't know. Like to me, it's just dumb because it's like just go outside. Like everybody who's going crazy right now, and you have friends you haven't seen,
Well, I mean,
go outside. Just don't touch them. What's that?
They should have gone outside anyway. Don't touch
Yeah.
them. Don't have the reason they don't want you to have them over is because then inevitably you end up like grabbing a drink or going to the bathroom or borrowing a thing. Like you end up in their house always. But like you can go to the park. But
Yeah, just go meet your friends in the park, and if you have to, stay 6 feet apart, and then you're fine. Like because apparently
hey,
coronavirus doesn't
6'1",
go.
it doesn't know. It can't go. It's just like
Yeah,
not that tall.
exactly. And if I could be around strangers with a mask, shouldn't I be allowed to be around my friends with a mask? Just saying. I mean, I'm at work with 50 guys and we all wear masks.
And I mean,
So,
that's got its own problems outside of Corona.
yeah. I don't know. Like, it's just so annoying. Just like, as long as you social distance, you can do anything you want. That's how I see it.
Sure. That's why we're Zooming.
Yeah. Social distance. We're like over 6 feet apart.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go in the hot tub now.
Ooh. Nice. I'm a bit jealous that you got to go in a hot tub.
I know. Well,
Just gonna say.
to do it. It's good.
The owners of the house are also going to be.
No, they're not.
Hey, as long as you wear a mask, you're allowed to gather with 10 people.
Gather strangers or not. We're gonna
just go in a hot tub and make sure you don't get your mask wet.
Oh, that would be so gross.
As if the chlorine in a hot tub is not going to kill COVID anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they've been going to the pool. It's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks a lot for coming by, guys. I mean,
thanks for having us.
Patching in. It's been great. Well, thanks for letting me talk about sciencey stuff that I obviously don't know much about.
Hey, that's my favorite kind of science to talk about.
Thanks for staying awake the whole time too. I know NFTs are boring.
You're gonna make it. I just mostly stood here as eye candy, just handsome, but
it's good.
You
make great eye candy, Andrew.
He does.
Is there anything else you guys want to add? Oh, what about your socials?
I'm at Miss You Do You.
Yeah.
That plus size hipster
I don't do
on
it.
Twitter.
I was gonna say, do you use that? Because
He does use it on Twitter and on Instagram, but
are you a lurker? Just go on Twitter and lurk
Yeah,
people.
I'm a lurker for everything.
Nice.
Always.
Yeah. So do you have Instagram that you use, or do you just?
same thing, plus size hipster on Insta.
That one,
Okay.
I like
The Insta one's actually much better than the
Right.
Twitter because he actually does stuff on there.
Oh, okay.
Very nice photos of
Pretty
my family.
pictures and things.
Nice.
He won.
Actually, I'll follow you. I'm on
Good photos.
Instagram
Lovely.
at DaleBot. Yeah, I probably already follow you if you
Once
follow
every
me.
6 months, I'll post something.
You can find me on Twitter at SuperDalebot. You can find the podcast on Twitter at OutrageFactPod. You could send us some if you want to hear more information about stocks or NFTs, you can
You want Dale to
email
become
us.
your stockbroker.
I will become your finance expert and tell you which stocks to buy based solely on their name. That's outragefactpod at Gmail. Facebook.com/outragefactpod to find our Facebook presence. I think that's outragefactory.com to find the audio version. The YouTube is, you just search Outrage Factory on YouTube because it's actually a number, so I can't tell you. I usually link the videos because I'll put them out tomorrow. So I'll link the audio and the visual on my personal Twitter, the podcast Twitter, and my Facebook.
Awesome.
Anything else?
No.
Until next time.
We gotta pee.
Stay angry.
Bye.
Peace out.